What's going on, guys? So I have a Canon paddle. This paddle came with my Bonafide kayak, and about 3 or 4 trips ago the end actually split. Let me show you. Right here you can see it cracked. Now this paddle is a fiberglass paddle, and it has a little insert to extend the length, and I think that's what blew it out. So I ordered some fiberglass repair kit on Amazon. So what I'm going to do is repair this paddle. It is always nice to have a spare paddle. Obviously I'm gonna buy a new paddle, but I've had too many instances where either you're on a kayaking trip and 1, your friend forgets his paddle tray, or 2, you're paddling and the tip breaks off, Sam. So always nice to have a spare paddle. I'm gonna get this one repaired. I'm gonna do some fiberglass work. I have a little bit of fiberglass knowledge. I've built a speaker box out of fiberglass, so I'm going to use that knowledge from building the fiberglass box to repair this this paddle. So bring y'all along and we'll see how structurally sound it is after the repair. The very first thing I'm going to do is actually put super glue on the crack to get this like sealed back together, and then I'm going to lay a long sheet this way and then a fat sheet this way and cover the whole thing. So the first thing I'm going to do is cover this with some super glue to get this tied back up. Smothered that with super glue. I'm going to let that dry. I'm going to sand it down, and then I'll come back with my Bondo fiberglass repair kit. Alright, so the super glue has dried where I've laid it down, so I'm going to come back with some 2000 wet and dry sand. I'm gonna rough up the surface, wash it down with some acetone, and then I can start doing the fiberglass process. Alright, all cleaned up. You want to make sure there's no oils, leftover oils from your fingerprints, because the fiberglass will not stick. So next up, like I mentioned, I'm going to mix the resin and hardener, lay down a thin layer of the mixture, then put the fiberglass over the mixture, and then put another thin layer over top of the fiberglass. Alright, with the kit, you get the resin, hardener, the fiberglass itself, a little spreader, and a stir stick. So what I'm going to do is just cut out the 2 pieces I need to reinforce my shaft, and then I'll mix up the resin and the hardener. What you do is you put down the mixture first, and then you put the cloth over that, and then a little more mixture over the cloth, and then smooth it out and let it sit for about 2 hours, and then you can come back and sand it down. Alright, 2 pieces cut out. This one will run the length of the crack, and then this one will wrap around the tube of the shaft. So off camera, I'm going to mix up the resin and the hardener, and then I'll bring you back whenever I lay it on. Alright, now we wait 2 hours to come back, and I will sand down the shaft. Make sure you're wearing gloves when you're working with this stuff, and also whenever you're coming back to sand it, make sure you're wearing long sleeves and gloves and something to cover your face, because this stuff is super itchy. So the fiberglass set up nicely. I let it sit for a day just because the cold weather was really slowing down the chemical reaction. The heat is actually good for fiberglass. It heats up the resin and hardener quicker. So coming back here to sand down all these imperfections, In this step, I guarantee you want to wear long sleeves, gloves, a mask. Really wear as much protective gear as you can, because this fiberglass stuff itches super bad. So, like I said, what I'm going to do is sand away. When I come back, this should all be smoothed out. And then I may put another layer down of fiberglass, we'll see. And if it's thick enough, then the last thing I got to do is drill out these holes again. Okie dokie, wet sanded it with 2000 grit sandpaper. It is very, very smooth. Run my fingers over it, no problem. So what I'm going to do next, drill out the holes, and the third hole right there. And then after I drill out these holes, I'm going to come back with some clear coat and clear coat the whole shaft. Obviously it got scratched up pretty good with the sandpaper, but little clear coat and wet sanding will bring it right back to nice and shiny. You know, obviously it'll be impossible to hide the fiberglass threads, but I kind of like that you can see that it was repaired. So, gonna go ahead and drill out these holes, and then we'll get it wet sanded. Or sorry, we'll get it clear coated. Razor blade might be better, actually. Alright, got the X-Acto knife, this should be easier. Alright, 2 holes drilled out. I don't ever use this third one, so now that I think about it, I'm not even going to fill that one in. This is the one that I clip it into every time, so gonna test fit the extendy bit real quick, and we'll make sure that I can snap it in the hole. Looks like it needs just a little bit taken off right here, so I'm gonna take this out and grind that down a little bit. It's supposed to fit like that, where it's protruding and it's not coming out all the way. So I've clear coated and sanded. Looks pretty dang good. So I actually took all 3 components of my kayak paddle and sanded them down, and then put a new clear coat on them, because they were all getting pretty beat up from the kayaking. So clear coated and sanded all 3, just letting them hang up out here in the wind to dry, and then we will slap it back together and have one functioning kayak paddle again.